So, a couple of days ago, I visited a museum dedicated to the life of Joseph Stalin in his hometown of Gori here in Georgia. Now, if you don't know who Joseph Stalin is, that's okay. I urge you to look him up. But he was the leader of the USSR for about 30 years. He oversaw the modernization of Russia that turned it from a feudal peasant backwater into an industrial and military powerhouse in the space of a decade. But he did so with such brutality and barbarism that's really hard to contemplate. Literally tens of millions of people across the USSR were murdered on Stalin's direct orders, and not just in the pursuit of his socialist ideals, but for the perpetual consolidation of his power. His intense paranoia led to decades of terror. The USSR was a whole empire of terrified political prisoners. No single person has been responsible for more human suffering over the past 100 years than this man. So he is indisputably a person of great historical importance. But what do you do with the museum that was built during the Soviet era to glorify him? It's a struggle that is being played out across the world right now. The USA with their Confederate statues, Britain with their slave owners, and Australia with our colonisers. There is undeniably great utility in studying and learning history. As they say, those who blind themselves to the mistakes of the past doom their kind to repeat it. But what about glorifying the past? Is there ever any value in actually taking pride from history? Now, this is a venture I treat with extreme cynicism, because too often those urging us to take pride in our history have a sinister intent. The glorification of the past is an extremely precarious ambition to have because no one's history is perfect. There will always be dark parts of the story that our heroes won't want told. And if their full story is told, can they still be our heroes? Now, personally, I think the preservation of history is important, and I think it does have a purpose if we contextualize it and we tell the full story, including the full story of how we once glorified it and what we can now learn from that. Now, if I'm honest, I don't think the Museum of Stalin, as expected, got it right. This is a cult hero whose true history has only even been legal to discuss in the last 30 years, and whose persona is now once again being revived, and weaponized in Russia for political capital. Now, can we do a better job with our history in Australia? I guess that part of our history is still to be written.